for Office 365 Product Marketing, Seth Patton.
Well, good morning. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us both here in person and for those of you joining us online from around the world. Microsoft is a proud sponsor of this year's SharePoint Conference North America. We look forward to sharing our perspective on modern workplace trends, and we look forward to sharing some exciting innovations that our engineering teams have been working on for all of you and to empower people and organizations to achieve more. We live in a time of inflection. Digital transformation is reshaping every industry. 68 or 86% of CEOs believe that technology will impact their business more than any other global trend. 2/3 of Global 2000 CEOs have digital transformation at the core of their corporate strategy. But what the best leaders know is that what's at the center of digital transformation isn't technology. It's our people. And a key challenge is finding ways to empower everyone in the organization to be more creative, to be more collaborative, to be engaged, to do their best work. It starts with fostering a culture of work that embraces workplace trends and frankly makes work more inspiring. Every organization is unique, but these are some common trends that are shaping the culture of work and that are really shaping expectations of what our employees have of what a modern workplace provides. In the year 2025, 75% of the workforce is going to be made up of millennials. These digital natives really expect and are seeking diverse work styles. They want the ability to work from anywhere, have technology that allows them to stay connected with their larger organization and with their teammates, and they seek a greater sense of purpose. Employers have new expectations as well. We've seen a shift from routine tasks to really a way of operating that requires everyone to be creative, to be collaborative, to think critically. Lifelong learners who are agile, who can adapt to change, are really in high demand. Then there's the shrinking shelf life of information. Attention spans are shorter. Knowledge is underutilized. Effective content management, search and discovery is more important than ever. We're also seeing the growing impact of AI and intelligent technologies on really every aspect of business. AI is a key theme at the conference this week, especially how AI is transforming content collaboration. And of course, businesses still need to maintain an environment that's safe, secure, and protected from growing, sophisticated cyber threats. We're fortunate enough to have one of our customers here who's in the middle of their own transformation. They're a great example of how to use technology to empower employees and to engage with customers. So I'd like to bring up the CIO of MGM Resorts International. They're a Microsoft customer, and they're also the host destination for this event. Please welcome Sai Esfahani.
Thank you, Seth.
Sai, thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Why don't you start by telling a little about MGM and why digital transformation is important to you?
Well, MGM, as most of you know, is a very complex business. We have 5 distinguished line of businesses. We're in hospitality business. We have over 48,000 rooms, so we're a major player in hospitality. 3.9 million square foot of convention. This is one venue of it. We are into gaming. We have 28,000 slot machines, thousands of table games, and so forth. We're into entertainment business. We produce over 7,000 shows a year, 8 million tickets we sell every year. So very complex with distinguished line of businesses. And digital transformation, and by the way, we have 42 million visitors come to Las Vegas every year. And that was the exact number last year, 42 million plus people that come to Las Vegas. And we have the largest presence. If you notice, most of the properties this side of the strip is the MGM properties, all the way from Raj to Mandalay Bay. So, interacting with these customers, digital transformation gives us the opportunity to interact with customers in a much more meaningful way, to serve them better and ultimately create shareholder value as well, because we think we can sell and service better our customers through digital transformation.
That's great. And can you say a little about why you chose to partner with Microsoft as part of digital transformation?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. We used to do majority of our business in Las Vegas. MGM is changing its brand and its position to entertainment, and it's becoming a global player as well. So we're expanding our workforce across America. We have opened a casino in National Harbor. We're opening one in Springfield, and few others in the making that you have seen in the news, merger and acquisition that's happening. We opened our second property in China. Hopefully Japan one day will allow us to build a casino there. So our workforce is becoming much more diverse and multi-location. So ability for them to communicate with each other, it's really becoming, key for us. And Microsoft was a vehicle that allow us to get there. That was the number one. And number two is part of our digital transformation. We said we got to have a cloud-first strategy. So we partnered with Microsoft, and we said, we want to put as much as we can in the cloud, and we've selected Azure to be our cloud provider and sponsor. So those two ability, productivity of the workforce, and the cloud-first strategies are the primary reason we chose to use Microsoft.
Excellent. And I understand you've rolled out Office 365 and OneDrive to 77,000 employees. Can you talk a little bit about the benefits that you're achieving?
Yeah, I think, the good news is when we rolled out Office 365, and we have a couple more weeks, we will have 22,000 mailboxes that we have
for
migrated,
Exchange Online,
and so forth. And then we're making OneDrive available for all the users as well. It has been received really well. In fact, when we were rolling out, because of our population, we did location by location, department by department. We've been at it for 6 months now, and hopefully by end of this month, we should be all done. And I'll receive calls from executives, from department head, that they will say, can you roll me out first? Why am I last? So they are really beating our door, trying to make the migration. And so it's been a very successful migration and received very well across all line of businesses and across property, and as well as our corporate offices.
And empowering your employees.
Empowering our employees.
Sai, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for sharing this great venue with us as well.
Thank you.
So to help customers like MGM, last year we introduced Microsoft 365. Microsoft 365 is a complete intelligence solution to empower everyone to be more creative and work together securely. It brings together the best of Office 365, Windows 10, and Enterprise Mobility plus security. It's really fundamentally changed the way we do engineering by focusing on end-to-end scenarios that span services. And it delivers on 4 key promises. First, it unlocks creativity by enabling people to work naturally. Everybody wants to be creative. I'm glad you guys like it. Should I start dancing? We all like to be creative. It also allows people to work smarter with apps that are infused with AI. It's built for teamwork with the broadest and deepest set of collaboration capabilities to meet the diverse needs of both teams and organizations. It simplifies IT by making it easier to deploy, but also unifying management across users, devices, apps, and services. Finally, Microsoft 365 utilizes AI, powered by the Microsoft Graph, to deliver intelligent features, things like contextual insights and analytics, personalized search and discovery, and intelligent content services, which you're going to see a lot of today. It's just fantastic to see all these great customers really from around the world who are using Microsoft 365. And in fact, there are 135 million active users of Office 365 alone. One of the key themes that we hear from customers is the growing importance of content management and collaboration. Whether it's MGM, like you heard about, enabling their workforce with anywhere access to files, whether it's Accenture, who uses SharePoint within Microsoft Teams to collaborate on client projects, and Fruit of the Loom, who's using SharePoint with Yammer to harness collective knowledge across their organization with their global intranet. In the modern workplace, content collaboration is more important than ever, and that's why SharePoint is a foundational service of Microsoft 365. And SharePoint is growing faster than ever. Today, we have over 400,000 organizations who have SharePoint and OneDrive. In the last year alone, usage has grown nearly 70%. Content stored in SharePoint has grown 200%. Today, 70% of all SharePoint seats are SharePoint Online versus SharePoint Services or Server on premises, which really shows how our customers are moving to the Microsoft Cloud. And believe it or not, it feels like we're just beginning. There's so much more coming in the future. To show you what's coming next, I want to bring up the product leader for Office, SharePoint, and OneDrive, Corporate Vice President, Jeff Teeper.
Thanks, Seth. Thank you. And good morning. Or if you're tuning in online, good afternoon or good evening. I just saw a tweet from Amos Wachanga, a fabulous SharePoint community leader running SharePoint Saturdays throughout Africa. He and a team of folks are watching live in Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you. So thanks to everybody who couldn't make the trip to Las Vegas. We are very excited about what we've got in store for you. So this is about as packed an event as we've ever done. The following 9 folks are going to join me on stage in a minute. But the whole SharePoint OneDrive team is here in force to share our roadmap, to hear feedback, best practices, and we couldn't be more excited about the event. This is going to be an amazing event. As Bill talked about, we have everything from Blast from the Past, where the world's best party band, the B-52s, are going to join us at a SharePoint tomorrow night. But we also have some revelations from the future, which see in a little bit some things that I don't expect anybody walked in this room this morning expecting to see from the SharePoint team. So as Seth said, SharePoint plays a foundational role in delivering content collaboration for the modern workplace, connecting across Microsoft 365. A lot of the questions we get at events like this is, how does SharePoint relate to the rest of the Microsoft offering? And so I just take a second to do that. First, SharePoint powers anywhere access to all your files in OneDrive. We power rich, real-time document collaboration inside the Office apps. We power teamwork with team sites connected to Outlook and increasingly Microsoft Teams. We, of course, support award-winning intranets, really engaging experiences, connecting with other systems from Microsoft like Stream and Yammer, and we're helping transform business processes with the new Power Apps and Flow. So those are the experiences SharePoint powers, and we're building on the rest of the work in the Microsoft Cloud, Azure, the Microsoft Graph, and I thought I'd highlight 3 foundational services: rich security and compliance and governance, so you can manage all your information in a consistent way. The power and intelligence of AI, so we're taking signals and content from various systems and helping users be more productive. And lastly, a consistent extensibility approach, so you can build solutions faster than ever. And we'll talk about all these this morning. But as we've highlighted at these kinds of events, SharePoint is not just a technology, it's a community. In fact, we are unabashedly proud that this is the best community in technology. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we bring the tech community together at big events like this in Ignite, but it's not just about the sort of big giant events. We also are partnering with organizations around the world to support other SharePoint and collaboration-related events on Microsoft technologies. There's a great one coming up in Germany next week where members from the team are going. But the thing that honestly makes me the most proud is not the big giant events, it's the local SharePoint Saturdays. These are free events. They may have 4 sessions or 24 sessions around the world. And what's stunning to me is even after all this time, the SharePoint community, SharePoint Saturdays are growing. Every year there's new events for the first time. And it is so amazing to see a list of these up here. Places like Istanbul and Dakar and Colombo coming to SharePoint. And so thank you so much to everybody who's organized, spoke, participated, attended to these events. And if you're interested in joining, Susan Lemon, the community leader, is in the expo hall hosting a booth where you can talk about being a part of the SharePoint community. So thank you. Thank you. I think it's no secret over the last couple of years, Microsoft is in a period of very rapid transformation to deliver more value that's more relevant to you every day. Satya wrote about this in a book last year called Hit Refresh, and I sort of embraced the concept in a set of blog posts in LinkedIn called Hitting Refresh on SharePoint and More that I'd encourage people to read if they're interested in the backstory. But the basic idea is we are now every month delivering new value for users, developers, and IT to bring value to your organizations. And that's wonderful, but it can at times be a little overwhelming. And so what we've done for the last couple of years is have 2 events a year, a May SharePoint webcast, which we're doing here from Vegas at the SharePoint Conference, and the big Microsoft-wide Ignite conference. And at those 2 big events, we'll reset everybody on the vision, the framework, and the roadmap, and show things that are coming in the next quarter or 2. So driving rapid innovation, but helping people understand where we're going. And as we talk about it, as we've done at the last few events, we're framing that less so in technology. It's not so much about search and document management. Those are the technologies delivering value. We really want to frame the vision and value behind the product and the benefits you get out of it. And so we've got 6 pillars that we talk about. First is how do we help people share and work together? Second is the tools we give you to help engage and inform employees. Third is harnessing collective knowledge so people can make better decisions. Fourth is transforming business processes so that you can move faster than ever in a more dynamic world. Fifth is protecting and managing information in a world of a variety of security threats that you have to govern against. And last, but certainly not least, is the work we're doing with SharePoint and Office as a development platform to help you extend it and develop solutions that meet your business needs. So those are the 6 pillars we're going to talk about this morning and show work, again, that's coming in the next quarter or 2. Let's jump in to the first of the pillars, which is sharing and working together. Here we're highlighting really 3 big things. First is the work we've done around OneDrive. I think OneDrive is the most impressive progress we've made in just about any Microsoft product in the last couple of years. Best-in-class experience for anywhere access to all your files. Windows, Mac, web, iOS, Android, personal work, individual teams. OneDrive connects to it all, simple sharing, rich governance and security. So OneDrive for anywhere access to all your files. But collaboration is more than just files, and that's what we have SharePoint team sites contributing. So there's not just files and document libraries, but lists and pages and apps, and through Office 365 groups, connections between those team sites and other resources from Microsoft. Microsoft Planner, Forms, Power BI, Stream, and much more. And third, and not least, is the work we've done to take the web experience we brought in SharePoint and bring that content in the context of communications with Microsoft Teams. And you'll see one of the big themes today is the consistent experience and power of SharePoint surfacing on the web, on mobile, in Microsoft Teams. To show you some of what's coming, I'm excited to bring up our first set of demoers, Omar and Aaron.
Well, he was going to call me up. Omar left.
Thanks, Jeff. Like millions of our customers, I start my day by going to office.com. Office.com brings together all my applications, content, and places I work in one fast and easy web page. At the top here, you can see all the applications that I use. And below that is a new feature called Recommended. Recommended uses intelligence in the Microsoft Graph to produce a list of documents based on information like who I work with in email, who I collaborate with on documents, and real-time activity about those documents, anticipating what I might want to click on first. Below that, you'll see a list of recent files. That list of recent files works across all my Office applications and all my devices, making it easy to get back to where I want to continue. I also have a list of pinned documents for my most important files, shared with me, which brings together all my shared content, so I don't have to go finding those links in email, and Discover, which is an intelligent view of trending content in my organization. We've also recently added Activity here, so I can quickly at a glance see who's been working on my documents. Below that, you'll see a list of OneDrive folders and frequent SharePoint sites. At the top of the page, as soon as I tap on the search box, through the power of the graph and intelligent search, I get a personalized list of recommendations. So without even searching, I can get to content quickly and easily. What I'm going to do now, though, is continue some work with my colleague, Aaron. And we're going to do that by using Microsoft Word Online. And we've been working together on a job description. So what I'd like to do is invite Aaron up on stage so we can work together in real time. So it looks like Aaron's done a pretty good job building out this job description. I'm going to go ahead and select the qualifications section here and use a new feature in Word that makes it easy to bring people into the document in real time. So I'm going to go ahead and hit comment. And you'll notice as soon as I type the @ symbol, a list of people shows up. This is an intelligent list of people that leverages information about who I collaborate with to make it a lot easier to bring those people into the document. I'll go ahead and select Aaron here, type some text, and now Aaron is going to get a notification and shortly will join me in the document. But I also know I have another colleague of mine, Naomi, who's excellent at writing job descriptions. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her into the document too. Now what's interesting here is that Naomi doesn't have access to this document. So when I go ahead and click send, I'm actually going to be prompted to share with her at the same time. And this is great. It saves me time. Not only will she get a notification, but she'll also be shared and invited into this document. Now what I'd like to do is switch over to Aaron's machine and see what it looks like for him.
Perfect. So as you can see, OneDrive has sent me a notification letting me know that Omar is @mentioned me in the document. I can easily open this document, which I've done so ahead of time, for the sake of time, and I can see right in the comments where he's called out attention for my help. I can easily take a look, take action. Let's say we need someone a little less junior, and I can reply to it. And since we're all working in the document at the same time, Omar sees these changes real time, and I can see his. We've gone from a simple @mention to real-time document collaboration across the stage or across the globe. How cool is that? Now we're making it easier than ever to share files in Office 365 across the web, desktop, mobile, and the backstage of Office. In OneDrive here, I can go ahead and share, and you'll see our new simplified sharing experience that allows us to share with internal or external collaborators with ease. And as I select people, we have the intelligence of the Office Microsoft Graph that Omar mentioned earlier, recommending people that I actively work with so I can select the right person faster. I can also add in external collaborators very easily using a personal or work email address. They'll be prompted to verify their identity before getting access to the document, so you can rest assured knowing you're collaborating with your external collaborators and internal collaborators that you've shared with. Now, once you've shared a document, wouldn't it be nice to know if anyone was taking a look at that important PowerPoint presentation or Word document you created? With the Files card in Office 365, you can see important file stats. Wait for it. Such as who's viewed and how many views have you had. And if you need more details, simply take a look at the Details pane, where you can manage access and see a detailed list of activity for your file. And if you select off of that file, you'll see the activity stream for for all of your files in OneDrive so you can stay up to date on all the changes that are taking place. As you can see, we've been pretty busy in this demo tenant lately. Back to you, Omar.
Awesome. Thanks, Aaron. Now, collaboration is more than just files. Aaron and I work together in a team called Travel Innovation, and here we are on our SharePoint team site, which we use to keep ourselves organized. What I'm looking at right now is a news post I've been authoring, and we use SharePoint News to broadly communicate across our organization. In this case here, I want to welcome some new team members, and so what I've done is customized the page header here with an image, but I've also used the people web part, which brings in information such as their profile picture, their name, and their title. And I've also included some information below about Naomi, our newest team member. When I go ahead and click Published, that creates a written artifact that is now easily discoverable across my organization. Content that's a lot richer than sending out a simple email. Now let's take a look at the home page of the team site. We recently updated the layout of the team site to make it a bit more engaging, and so as you can see here, a number of my other team members have been publishing news as well, and I might want to read that later on. As I scroll down, you'll see the document library web part. We're happy to announce that we're bringing all the capabilities of document libraries to the web part, which is one of the most popular web parts used in SharePoint. You can see here that we're going to support features such as drag and drop, filtering, sorting, grouping, and one of my favorite features, which is the new column formatter, as you can see here. As I scroll down, you'll see other web parts here, such as Planner. But what I'm going to do now is show one of my favorite features. So we're going to head on over to the document library. And I want you to pay close attention to the contents of this document library. You can already see here that we've customized this with some pretty cool looking information, such as effort and status. And I'm going to be waiting for Aaron over there to do some uploading. Oh, did you see that? Just like magic, that content appeared right there in the document library. In addition to supporting things like uploads and deletes in real time, you can also see Aaron is changing some of the columns metadata, and so that when we're working together in real time on this team site, which a lot of you do, you're going to get to experience all that real-time changes to both document libraries and lists, making the experience a lot more magical. So what I want to do now is head on over to Microsoft Teams. We use Teams in the Travel Innovation Group to collaborate in real time using chat, video, and voice. Microsoft Teams is our hub for teamwork, and we want to bring all the value of SharePoint, such as lists, document library, and pages, directly into the Teams application. So as I switch over to Teams, you'll see here the brand new Files tab, which includes all those same capabilities of document libraries that you just saw earlier. All the features, such as column formatting, metadata, drag and drop, including support for over 300 different file previews that we support in OneDrive and SharePoint. So you can work inside of Teams and view all those files and collaborate in real time without ever having to leave the Teams application. We think that's going to really enhance the way people work together. In addition to document libraries, we're also going to bring pages into Teams. And so over here you can see that I've got a Pages tab, and Aaron created this earlier as our project dashboard for our team, and it brings together a lot of great information, such as who the project leads are, using a feature such as the event web part. But one of my favorites here too is Microsoft Planner, and I've got two different views of our plan. In this case, you can see here a list of tasks and how people are doing completing their tasks. And below that, the planner board itself, where I can go ahead and create new tasks, I can assign people to different tasks, change due dates, and so on and so forth. This is going to make it much, much easier for us to stay organized and work together. But Aaron, I know that you love working in files in a different application, and so why don't you tell us about how you do that?
Sure thing. Hey, don't get me wrong, I love working in Teams, but I spend a lot of my days working on files and Files Explorer, especially when I'm disconnected with the internet. Well, last October, for those of you paying attention, we released our most requested user feature to date at that time, which was OneDrive Files on Demand for Windows 10. Now, Files on Demand lets you see all of your personal and shared files in Office 365 without taking up local disk space on your hard drive. So in this case, we can see that I've connected my Files on Demand to my shared documents on that Travel Innovation Teams. Again, this works with Microsoft Teams, as well as your personal content, OneDrive and SharePoint, etc. If I right-click here, you can see we're a pretty active team. We work on a lot of large files, videos, things of that nature. We have over 1 gigabyte of files in the cloud I can see and navigate all of those on my local PC, but not take up any disk space. And when you need to open a file, OneDrive Files on Demand will take care of it. It'll download a resident copy. If you take that offline, any changes you make at that point in time will be synchronized back to the cloud. And if you need disk space, it'll take care of freeing that up if it becomes constrained on the device. Really cool stuff, big crowd pleaser. I'm going to move to my mobile device. Omar and I are on our devices all the time, traveling for work or meetings, even around the campus. And when we do, OneDrive app on our mobile device keeps us connected to our files, and it also lets us capture the world around us. We're making it easier than ever to scan documents in with OneDrive, both right from the touchscreen of the iOS launcher, but also in the app. Give me one moment here. Oh. With a dedicated scan button added to the tab bar below, you'll see that front and center. So I have a receipt here from breakfast this morning with Omar. I'll let OneDrive do its magic. It'll automatically deskew and correct the image. I can go ahead and annotate that right in the application. I can choose a location and file name and persist that to the cloud with ease. Now, if I want to share that file, it's as easily as giving a long hold, and we get that same sharing experience that we saw earlier. So I can call out Omar, give him a simple message, and I can pass the buck and have him pick up the tab for breakfast instead.
Gee, thanks, Aaron.
And as we travel, I capture a ton of photos on my device. And these are super important for me and my organization. And I don't want to lose them if anything happens to my phone. So with OneDrive, you can back up your camera roll, both to your personal and coming by the end of the year to your organizational account in Microsoft 365, Office 365. That has been a #1 requested user voice feature, and we're going to be super excited to bring that down and release that to you later this year. I hope you've seen how we're making files, how we're making sharing and working together easier than ever with Office 365. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron and Omar. A lot of great stuff. To recap, we'd encourage people to share their files to Office 365 and use OneDrive for anywhere access on any device and simple, secure sharing. Second, create great team sites in the cloud with a full set of collaboration tools. And if you want a real-time, most engaging experience for getting work done, host that native experience for SharePoint increasingly inside Microsoft Teams. And third, as Aaron showed, we're bringing a lot more tools for capturing and sharing content in a business context to OneDrive Mobile. So really excited about what's going on there. The next area for us is the work around informing and engaging employees. As I think a lot of people know, SharePoint powers the majority of the best intranets around the world. Everything from a simple site with maybe a single web page to the largest, most dynamic, personalized sites are running on SharePoint, not just on-prem, but increasingly in the cloud. And this is something we're tying together as a holistic solution, again, with Microsoft Stream for video and Yammer for social chats in the context of your intranet. But perhaps the feature that I was most excited about that we released last year was communication sites. We really set a new bar for the simplicity and beauty and performance of an engaging site that could be produced in minutes and run, again, on the web as well in the SharePoint mobile app. We have rapid progress in the communication sites. We have a lot more to come, and to show you what's going on in our work around engaging employees and intranets, let me bring up Dan and Adam.
Thanks, Jeff. SharePoint News is a great way to keep people informed and updated about news, announcements, important communications on your teams and across the organization and on any device. A few minutes ago, Omar posted a news article, and because it's relevant to me, I see a notification on my phone for the article. So I can jump right in and see that article. SharePoint News lets us create rich communications that can include multimedia, video, images, data, content from other sources, and we can engage with that page with things like likes and comments. This news can then be connected and distributed to people wherever they work. In Microsoft Teams, using the new SharePoint News connector, and by sharing in Yammer, or by sending the news to people in their inbox via email. So SharePoint News lets you transform the way you communicate, reaching people wherever they work.
So I'm going to expand on what Dan was talking about and talk about news from your organization. You know, one of the key drivers of organizational performance is alignment and transparency, getting the right information to the right people at the right time. And we heard a lot of feedback from corporate communications teams that they wanted to use SharePoint News to broadcast official communications from the organization. And that's what we're delivering this year. So what you can see right here is the SharePoint mobile app on the News tab. Just like it showed with Dan, it has Team News. But alongside that, you're also seeing, if I scroll up to the top, news from the organization. It has a sense of authority and distinction because it's badged with the official corporate colors, and you can tell that it's from the company. Of course, it's managed right alongside the team and divisional news, and in fact, we're adding new tools for end users to do things like filter to only news from your organization or just the things that have been saved. At the same time as we do this, we know that if companies want to use SharePoint News to manage organizational announcements, they need the management tools needed for that. The ability to schedule when posts go live, set permissions and authorship, and set categories. So we're also providing that as well. Now, if you're looking at this mobile app, it probably looks a little bit different than the mobile app you have installed on your phone. And that's because we're making the biggest update we've ever made to the SharePoint mobile apps across iOS and Android. We're simplifying the app, and we're really focusing it on the key user jobs that our fans told us drive daily behavior. News is one of them, and throughout the rest of the keynote, you'll see a couple other major updates that are really focused on fan-generating user jobs.
Awesome. And when you want to communicate with people across your organization, SharePoint lets you create a beautiful, fast, natively mobile intranet site. This is a SharePoint communication site that I created to share information about training at Contoso Travel. At the top, we have a hero web part with links to important resources. We then have a section that's highlighting training that's available, and this list is personalized and relevant to me. Further down the page, I've inserted the new weather web part, one of several new web parts we're releasing for SharePoint, some featured resources, and I've even used Microsoft Forms to create a quick poll about a very important topic. Yeah, I know. Higher on the page, we're using video to create compelling communication. Now, this video could come from anywhere, including YouTube, but we're using Microsoft Stream, Microsoft's enterprise video service, to share the video securely and to unlock the content of the video with AI. Microsoft Stream automatically transcribes the video, allowing it to automatically have closed captions, which makes the video more accessible to people, and it also allows me to then search the video for content. For example, I think I remember somewhere in this video there was a mention of the Colosseum. Sure enough, I can jump to that exact part of the video. Pretty cool, huh? Get your videos in Microsoft Stream. Further down the page, I've invited my audience to engage in conversation with the Yammer web part. Yammer allows people to connect and engage across the organization, so Yammer conversations are a natural complement to SharePoint communication sites. Now, I'm using SharePoint pages to communicate information about upcoming training opportunities. Here's an example page of a training program for guides giving tours to Amsterdam. We can see again, there's an image at the top. I'm going to go ahead and switch into edit mode here. There's an image at the top, there's some text, a people web part, there's a live interactive map that I can switch between views, so I'm going to go ahead and switch this to road view. And there's an image. And you'll notice when this image was inserted, machine learning automatically recognized that this was an image of a boat in a river. Again, making this more accessible to people with screen readers and improving search engine optimization. We've also added more controls to images, including image manipulation, so that you can now crop and frame your photos to make them look just perfect on your page, something that we've really heard a lot of requests for from our audience. Now here's the coolest thing of all. This page is appropriate for our guides in Europe. We want to make sure that page reaches them. And we're pleased to announce that today, or coming soon to SharePoint, you're going to be able to easily tag pages with metadata. So I can expose the metadata for this page, choose what type of activity this is. This is a city program. I can choose the region that it's appropriate for, the role of the employee that should see this particular page. We'll say it's for guides. And this metadata is, of course, completely customizable. These are simply the columns added to this pages library on this site. And I can then use that metadata to organize my site and to filter and target pages. I've even chosen on this page to expose some of the metadata in the new Page Properties web part. Awesome, huh? Now it's time to publish this page. I'm going to submit it for approval. And today we're pleased to announce that we are introducing an out-of-box page approval workflow to SharePoint. This workflow is powered, yeah, you can apply to that. This page approval workflow is powered by Microsoft Flow. It's out of the box, but you can customize it to meet the business logic of your organization. In our case, the approval is configured to send an approval to my manager, who can then either approve the page from the approvals panel or from an actionable email message in Outlook.
All right. Very cool. Just to really drive home the point about audience targeting, I'll go ahead and refresh this page. I'm a European employee logged in here, and so when I go down, you can see the same site we've just been working with is customized just for me. Here's the training local to my region, including the new thing that was just published by Dan. So in this particular example, we use location as a user property to target content, but the new audience targeting feature will be able to use a variety of user profile properties, and the audiences will be calculated in near real time. Pretty cool, right? Thanks. So I want to talk a little bit about how all these sites come together into a planful intranet. You may have noticed in some of the sites we've been working with, there's been a top navigation up here. Look how quickly I can navigate between different site collections within this company. Back to training, between eco and adventure. So this shared navigation across site collections was one of the #1 requested features on User Voice. Over 500 people in the community have voted for it, and we delivered it live to production just a couple weeks ago. But we didn't stop there. Yeah, you can clap for that. Well, we didn't stop there. Shared navigation is actually part of a larger feature we call site hubs. That's really the way that you tell the system that sites are banded together into divisions or products or what be it. Of course, it gets shared navigation, as well as shared look and feel and other features in business process. However, I think one of the coolest features of hubs is actually if I visit the root of this hub, you'll see that this news web part has been configured to roll up news from across the entire hub. The shared news roll-up across everything in the hub really is a great way of seeing what's going on in your division, but letting each member of your division, each team, work however they want. And if this news roll-up isn't what you're looking for, search is aware that the site is part of a hub, and automatically, even without typing a query, is starting to bring back things from across the entire hub, including some of the key sites within that hub. But if there's one thing I want you to take away from site hubs, it's that it's incredibly easy to join and remove sites from the hub. We know that the modern workplace is ever-changing and your business is dynamic, and we wanted to make sure that your intranet was as dynamic and ever-changing as your business. And so to do that, I'll go back to the travel innovation site that we've been working with. It sounds like something that should be part of the travel planning hub, and I'll go ahead and do that. Looking at site information, and I'll go ahead and select the hub travel programs. In just a couple seconds, you'll see the theme updates, you'll get the top nav that we've been working with, and announcing today, we're allowing you to run custom site scripts upon joining a site to a hub, which really means any business process that you have can be added to a site. You can install apps, set permissions, configure the homepage, configure nav, or in this particular example, it would be cool if every site in the hub had a quick travel journals where we've actually added a document library by default and then even added a quick default travel guide right there. It's just an example of what you can do. Now you can run custom site scripts upon hub join. So that's what we have today for Inform and Engage for this part of the section. It's really about a tool of features that allow you to take even your most demanding of portal scenarios and model them on modern communication sites. We'll bring Jeff back up now. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks. Thanks, guys. What do you think so far? I've been accused of overhyping this moment a little bit, but I'll stick with it. Just wait. So we thought about how we could go to the even next level of building immersive, engaging experiences that help people learn, navigate information in organizations. And let me take you back a little bit in the history of SharePoint here. One of the things we've pioneered is bringing innovation to content collaboration. Now, sometimes we've been early, but I think ultimately in a lot of the cases, we were very forward-looking about where this space would go. And so with SharePoint Server, we were the first to bring together document management and web publishing into a single unified content management solution. We followed that up about a decade ago, bringing all that capability to the cloud with what became SharePoint Online and has grown, as Seth described earlier. And actually, the last time we were in Las Vegas with the SharePoint conference, we announced something that became the Microsoft Graph, where we're using signals and behavior and content to learn, to help people manage their time better and navigate information. And so a couple years ago, we were thinking about, where will this space go? What's the next, these are the past 3 waves. What's the next wave for us? And I started playing with some things around 3D, real-time, and mixed reality. And my first reaction to this stuff is, wow, this is really cool. Everybody's going to want to do this, just like they wanted a cool intranet site. But this is really hard. Programming in Unity or WebGL is super complicated. And so that's what we do in SharePoint. We take things that are needed to build immersive, engaging experiences and then make them accessible to anyone. From a PC with just a standard screen all the way up to an increasingly wave of innovative headset devices. So I am very, very excited today to bring back Adam, joined by Vidya, the first member of the team we had working on this project a couple years ago, to introduce you to an early preview of SharePoint Spaces. We're going to run a little video first, and then they'll demo.
More than ever, dynamic, impactful content is critical to the modern workplace. Introducing SharePoint Spaces, letting anyone create mixed reality experiences where data, documents, and files can be seen in immersive environments from any device. Create custom spaces where you can visualize and manipulate data in real time. Discover and interact with objects in 3 dimensions. Explore company knowledge, making onboarding more engaging. And experience vibrant, expansive 3D environments right at your desk. SharePoint Spaces lets anyone experience content in new and exciting ways, empowering us all to achieve even more.
Good morning, everyone. I am so thrilled to introduce you all to SharePoint Spaces. Today, to create an immersive mixed reality experience, you have to be really skilled in a game engine. You also need to understand the many technical aspects and physics that go behind the scenes, such as locomotion, spatial modeling, lighting, textures, sound, all of which may seem really complicated and overwhelming to most creators. What we set out to do is to make this experience so easy that anyone can author in mixed reality. If you can lay out a web page, if you know how to author a PowerPoint presentation, you can now build immersive mixed reality experiences using SharePoint Spaces. Imagine that I'm a content creator at Contoso Outdoor Gear, and I'm in charge of putting together an employee training program to onboard all my regional store managers. Now, normally, I would have built a communication site like this one, added a few pages, hooked up some content, and called it done. But today, I'm going to add a whole new dimension to this experience with Spaces. Spaces are tightly integrated with all of SharePoint, which means you can create a space from any SharePoint site. Now, you may have noticed that I'm actually using a Chrome browser on a Mac to build my space. Well, that is because SharePoint runs anywhere there is a browser, and SharePoint Spaces will run anywhere there is a browser because we use open standards. So today, today, I'm going to start my experience on a Mac and finish it on my favorite Windows PC. Okay, so first, to create a space, you pick a template. Now, templates are a pre-packaged set of spatial geometry, backgrounds, textures, themes, and ambient sounds. It's an easy way for you to get started. But the good thing about templates is that these are extensible, which means the 1 million plus SharePoint developer community will be able to bring in their personality and requirements with templates. Woohoo! So let's create a product catalog space and showcase the 2018 lineup of products for Contoso outdoor gear. What you're seeing here is a 3D editing canvas built using WebVR and Babylon.js inside our own SharePoint site. Now, when you start building a PowerPoint presentation, what do? You pick a template first, you change the backgrounds, change the font styles, maybe you customize it a bit, you add some content, you share it out. That's exactly what we're going to do here. Space design lets me customize the space to my liking. I can change the structure, change the theme, change backgrounds to a solid color, or to one of these beautiful 360 images. But a mixed reality experience is really incomplete without ambient sound. But with Spaces, we make that super simple as well. Now, I'm from Seattle. I like rain. I know that's not everyone's favorite. So I'm going to mute this for a second so that you can hear me speak. You get the idea. It's very simple to customize a space. Now, all there's left to do is add some content. The plus here brings up a familiar toolbox with a set of web parts. How many of you here have created a SharePoint page? So anyone who has ever authored a SharePoint page will understand what to do here right away because we are leveraging the same user experience. The only difference here is that these web parts are MR capable and understand how to render in a 3D space. Now, web parts carry all the power of SharePoint, which means they can host a variety of content types from 2D images to 2D videos to 3D objects or even 360 videos. They can be hooked up to different data sources. They can be updated dynamically, and they leverage the power and intelligence of the Microsoft Graph. And again, these web parts are also extensible, just like their 2D counterparts. So we're going to add a document library web part and bring in a catalog of products into this space. That's it. It's that simple. Now I can manipulate these objects. I can make them bigger or even make them fly. Now when you're happy with the space that you build, all you have to do is hit publish, and then your space is now live and you're intranet. That took me less than 3 minutes to build an immersive mixed reality experience with SharePoint Spaces. Now, anyone who has access to this site will be able to access this space as well. Space activity will show up in the site activity feed in SharePoint Home, and of course, search. Or you can even share the space with the unique URL. But wait, there's more. Because Spaces are built on SharePoint, which is the world's best content management system, you can collaborate with your colleagues and build mixed reality experiences together. So, this is a welcome space that my colleague Ed started building, and I'm going to complete it here. Now, think of a welcome space as the homepage of your website. What does a homepage of a website have? It has some content, and it has links to other pages so that you can tell a holistic story. We extended that same capability to mixed reality so that you can link multiple spaces together to tell a cohesive story. Let's see how that works. All I'm going to do here is add a 3D object. Now, I built this 3D object itself with Paint 3D and Remix 3D, and that took me less than 5 minutes as well. I open Object Properties. Here's the 2018 product space that we built on May 21st. It's all real code. That's it. I've linked two spaces together. But wait, there's one more thing. I want to talk a bit about 360 content types. Now, 360 capture devices are becoming more and more prominent in the industry, which is great because it lets us capture beautiful 360 videos and relive those memories. In fact, I'm recording this entire keynote with a 360 capture device over here so that I can take it back to Redmond and relive this over and over again. You're all amazing audience. I want to relive this. But the difficult part until this date has been to consume these 360 videos and images in a way they're supposed to be consumed. But with SharePoint Spaces, we made that super simple as well. All you have to do is use one of these devices, capture a 360 video, add it to your OneDrive and SharePoint libraries, and hook it up to a space. That's it. It's that simple. So I think our employee space looks pretty good now. All I have to do is hit publish, and our space is now live in the intranet.
Cool. What do you guys think of Vidya's demo? So Vidya showed you how to author SharePoint Spaces, and I'll show you a couple ways you consume it. Now, let's remember that one of the key messages here is that SharePoint Spaces mainstreams mixed reality. And so one of the points to get across is that SharePoint Spaces can be a fluid part of the internet that you already visit every day. So here I am in a typical comm site, beautiful, engaging. I can look at my customers, get resources. And it turns out that below, we've embedded a SharePoint space. I click on it, and it immediately jumps me into a SharePoint space. And it just so happens that at this company that sells physical objects, the best way of exploring the content in this library is through a SharePoint space in mixed reality. Zoom in, take a look at particular items, et cetera, et cetera. Now that's all well and fine, and we do expect people to do that. But we've been talking to content creators for over 20 years, and they keep telling us that they want more engaging ways of getting the attention of incredibly busy people. And for those really important scenarios, whether it's launching a new building, having an envisioning center for remote employees, new employee orientation, a brand new product that launches, we really think that a mixed reality experience in a headset is a really great way of getting your employees to put their phone down, pay attention to the content you're creating. So we're going to do that real here today. The easiest way is for me to face the same direction as you. So I will go ahead and do that. Andy's going to get us set up. It's just one click to look at this in mixed reality, and Vidya will be facing you and telling you a little bit what's going on. Everybody still there?
So Adam's currently in the welcome space that we built just a few minutes ago.
All right, so here I am. I'm going to sort of just turn around a little bit so you can get the sense of this balance between information density and the expansiveness of scenery that is so important in mixed reality.
Let's now check out the product space.
All right.
Adam can browse through the catalog of products and explore them in much closer look.
Yeah, same thing we were looking at before, just sort of new and engaging ways to look through it. I'll go ahead and drill in on one particular object I've been looking at. So for instance, if I was a new employee trying to get up to speed on the products we sell, I can actually get really close, take a look at this tent, see how much of if it can fit a family of 4 in case somebody like that comes in, really just get a sense of what's going on. You also notice that SharePoint Spaces can add annotations to 3D objects. So you can upload a bunch of 3D objects to this library like you see, and of course if they get, as new objects are added, they automatically appear here, but this annotation provides you to, allows you to add context to what's going on. Pretty cool, right?
Next, let's check out the data space.
Cool.
What you're seeing here is a 3D Power BI visualization showing the 2017 sales data and the projected 2018 sales data. Mixed. Thank you.
All right, I'll walk towards the West Coast here to really zoom in on this. Somebody tell me if I'm about to hit a giant hashtag. Which you can sort of see, you can just get a sense of sort of drilling in a particular piece of data. As Vidya was saying, you can download particular data, share it to my OneDrive automatically, for instance, just a way that you can experience here, but still take the content with you in a different environment.
Awesome. Next, let's check out the people space.
All right.
Now, what you're seeing here is our chart that was tailored to show the Seattle store. I want you all to think about one thing. SharePoint Spaces is so simple that I, who work in the skis department, I'm able to build this whole thing.
So you notice I took a step back so I can get a full sense of the org. You can also step forward and just sort of almost pan through each member of the organization, get a sense of who I'll be working with, for instance. And as you'd expect, this is Microsoft. So this is all connected to the Microsoft Graph, including LinkedIn. The same data that you'd expect in the web experience appears here too. So I can even drill in on Marcella here, see her skills from LinkedIn on the web or in mixed reality right here as well.
Finally, let's check out the 360 video we added a few minutes ago.
All right, there we go.
Now, this was one of the customer submissions that we received. They wanted to share how amazing their camping experience was because of all the products they purchased from Contoso Outdoor Gear. Adam, make sure you warm yourself up by that fireplace.
Yeah, there we go. I think it's actually hot enough in Vegas already. I'm going to take this off. You get a little squeamish, careful as this thing rotates like this. What do you guys think? So I experienced this in a Windows mixed reality headset. You all can as well. On the third floor, we have SharePoint Spaces booths where you can both author a space as well as see what we saw today. And you know, because we're based on WebVR, this not only works in Windows mixed reality, but it also works in any tethered headset, HTC Vive, Oculus Rift, etc. We're super excited to be able to present this to you today. Thank you for your time. We'll bring Jeff back up on stage now.
Awesome. Like, I've been waiting for the, it's just like 18 months ago, I wrote a 2-page doc that said intranet meet the metaverse. What if we didn't just do HTML, but we did WebGL? We built a team, and they just did a killer job. We have a long way to go, as Adam sort of talked about. But just to recap the key moments, messages here. This is for everybody. So of course, we'll enable engaging experiences with a headset. We know not everybody has a headset on at all times in the workplace. We get that. And so we're going to create amazing, engaging experiences on conventional screens with the technical approach we took. We're empowering creators. We want, just like we did with PowerPoint and SharePoint, to enable anyone in minutes to create these amazing new ways to represent and navigate information. And of course, one of the complexities about a navigational space where you're going through multiple spaces is having them dynamic and personalized. And of course, you can code that all yourselves, but why bother when the underlying AI of the Microsoft Graph will help you? And again, just like SharePoint, this is going to be an app and a platform. We are teaching the SharePoint framework about WebSockets and WebGL so that you can build these real-time 3D amazing spaces that run in the browser and headset. So anyway, as Adam said, this is the URL to apply for the preview. I'm so proud of the team that we got real running code here. We do have a lot of work left to do to ship this later on. And so please, we can't wait for the ideas you have about where to take this. So that's SharePoint Spaces. To recap the engagement section this morning, use SharePoint pages and news, increase your relevance for audiences on communication sites. We have, as Adam talked about, metadata and targeting coming, and then apply for the first phase of the limited preview for SharePoint Spaces. So that's engaging employees. A lot of stuff there, but there's more. Next section is around harnessing collective knowledge, where we're taking search and AI technology across Microsoft to help people find relevant information, people, and much, much more. And to show you that, I am very excited to bring up Naomi Moneypenny.
Awesome, thanks so much, Jeff. So excited to be here. It's amazing. So I really want to talk to you a little bit about search. You've just seen, even in mixed reality, we have the idea of the Microsoft Graph, and our vision is really to deliver you personalized search wherever you are in Microsoft 365. Now, last Ignite, you saw us announce the new personalized search, and that really follows you across SharePoint, OneDrive, and all these other experiences that we have. So if I do a search, for example, inside of SharePoint, I can get that same result. I can check out, for example, what my boss has been doing, which is really important, right? Get that insights and information delivered to me directly here. And I see that same consistent search if I search inside of office.com with this new experience that launched last week. And so I can search for Dan right here, and I will get Dan's consistent people card here, same information being part of it too. If I go to Bing, that's Bing for Business, private preview, and that's one of our newest search experiences, I'll see that same information. I can check out the groups that Dan's working with, the files, all of those things. So that same consistent experience going across Windows, you'll see it's incorporated inside of the Office applications and even more into the future. So that's awesome. So what's next, right? I know you're all asking desperately, what's next? So let's talk about the search inside of the mobile application. Adam mentioned this morning that we're really revisiting how mobile is working across the organization, and so looking at what we can do with SharePoint to really empower that. So I have a prototype here of the new amazing SharePoint application, and I wanted to draw your attention to the Find tab right there. And you'll see the Find tab is prominently positioned. It's in the middle of the screen because search is really driving all those amazing experiences. I can see here that I've got quick access, I've got frequent sites, I've got people that I work with the most, all powered by the Microsoft Graph, some recent files and popular searches inside of my organization, and some links. Things that previously were all, different tabs inside of there, we're actually all combining it into one and being able to get that information right there. But if there's not even more than that, you can imagine that if I was a first-line employee at Contoso, we have a terrible moonlighting problem at Microsoft. Everybody works for Contoso. So if I do this, I can search for example, refunds to find out a refund policy because I need some help processing a refund that's happening. As I look at this refund policy, you can see that it automatically popped up an answer from the intranet. This is not an answer that's already been developed by someone. This is actually an answer that's right inside of the intranet and has been curated there through machine intelligence. So it's actually using the content inside of SharePoint to actually power the answer when I'm looking for it. So that's pretty awesome. I can find that refund information. I'm going to cancel out of there, but I still need help just to find my store manager, and you still have a couple of questions around it too. So as I start typing here, you can see that Charlotte pops up. I can check out her people card. I see that same insight that I've driven, all of that information and personalization that's coming to me right here. So that's pretty awesome too. All right, now that I have my refund processed, I have to think about where to actually go take the replacement item. So you'll see up here in the quick access that there's a click here for a Contoso Redmond store map. And so I get that same map powered by that same experience, all within inside of the SharePoint app. Pretty amazing, right? Yes. So you think about even more what we can do in terms of organizational customization and personalization coming together. So when we look at the sort of next experiences, it's really about understanding your feedback. We've had a lot of feedback inside of the community. I know I've gotten a lot of it personally. And really understanding about how we put together both organizational data and that personalization piece as well. So as I look at the next screen here, I can see that I have an amazing new experience that I can power right within SharePoint and make it super easy to manage. So I'm just going to click into the search box. You guys have all seen zero-time query before. You've seen this great feature where it pops up things that are useful. What if you could take that same feature and power it with your organizational results? So the stuff you're seeing up there and the trending searches right there is actually powered by a SharePoint list. So you can bring your organizational custom sources right inside of the search box before people have even searched. Amazing, right? Yes? So cool. So as I click through on here, I'm going to check out one of these activities in Norway. All of our search team is in Norway, so we have a lot of Norwegian content, which is always appropriate here. You can see that I actually have, not in addition to that custom source, I actually now can have custom entities. So we're really proud to announce that you can bring the best of that external content you have in other parts of your intranet and other applications, and bring it right inside of that personalized search experience right here within SharePoint and all of the search surfaces that we have in Microsoft 365. So, for example, I'm going to click through here. I've got a custom refiner at the top of the page here, and I can see that my search content, for example, right here, trail biking, this is external content that's being fed in. I can map the schema of my external data and actually put it into these same beautiful, rich results that we have in Office.com. And of course, it is natively responsive and mobile and has that simple, flexible aspect to it too. I can even go one step further and put in custom filters. So all of that customization you're familiar with the Enterprise Search Center, we're bringing it to the personalized modern search UX as well. Yeah. Awesome. Well, there's one more aspect. So when we think about what we're doing with training and content and how you're harnessing collective knowledge, we really think about a community of people. We have such an amazing, vibrant community, as you guys know, inside of SharePoint. And we really want to encourage that inside of organizations too. And that peer-to-peer learning is really a great opportunity to be able to do that. So think about, having a Yammer community, having a SharePoint communication site that really helps you to understand how to use these tools really effectively. But maybe we can go even one step further. So for example, right here, I have a wonderful SharePoint communication site. This should look all very familiar to you. Pretty cool. I have a Yammer feed going on. I can see my events and everything else. We're really proud to announce that Microsoft Training Services is going to deliver content directly to your intranet. This web part here is being customized and sent from Azure, and it'll actually deliver the most up-to-date, most recent training directly into a SharePoint communication site for you. So you'll be able to check out this summer. We have a pilot preview, so please do sign up for it, and we'd love to get your feedback. But that idea of really being able to harness the collective knowledge, both inside of Microsoft as well as your own organizations, is really what powers everything we're doing. So we're really excited with all of these announcements that we have for search and the Microsoft Graph, and really having that idea that search is everywhere. It's proactively, intelligently meeting you wherever you are inside of Microsoft 365. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Naomi. That was awesome. People have been asking us for extensibility in the search experience for a while, and we're so excited to be rolling that out. So the big calls to action here: get the SharePoint mobile app. It's great today. It's going to get even better in the future. Update your profiles. As you've seen, people integrates across Office 365. And then the community adoption tools that we're providing built on SharePoint. We've already gotten great feedback on those and checked those out. So the next area for us, we've seen AI and search and mixed reality. There can't be more, is there? Oh, yes, there's more. In fact, this was the area that when they showed me, I knew about the Spaces stuff and saw that demo about 8,000 times before we showed it to you. But the last couple of weeks, this one section really came together. And this is around transforming business processes with some new work we have around lists and Power Apps and Flow and cognitive services, how we give you these amazing business building blocks so you can automate business processes, including connecting them to great third-party solutions. So a lot of cool stuff to show here. We'll get right to it. Chris McNulty, Transforming Business Processes.
Thanks, Jeff. Good morning. Across Office 365 and SharePoint, we have a very proud tradition of taking technologies that used to require complex expertise and making them usable by the mainstream. So this morning, we're going to show you some of those things, taking the power of Microsoft's Cloud AI, bringing it together with cognitive services, data management, and analysis. So let's take a look. So at Contoso Travel, we're always looking for where we want to launch our next tour. And one of the places where we want to be able to figure that out is by being able to look at social media to figure out what things are trending. I've already built a flow that's capturing tweets about one potential location in the world, Vienna, to see what people think about it. That's not new. But what is new is the ability to be able to grab any text and pass it into Microsoft Flow to run sentiment analysis. Behind the scenes, we're going to take the text, push it into the text analytics engine, and return a score directly here to the SharePoint list. So we got a pretty great score there, 79%. People seem to like Vienna. But that's not all. I can also highlight what those trends are by using a different view. Here, I'm using our new row formatter. The row formatter allows me to apply conditional formats using scripts directly to the items here. Looks like, again, no surprise, a lot of people seem to like Vienna, so we're going to need to be able to do some more research. Now, cognitive analytics allows me to look for information easily based on what we can discover automatically. Here I can take a look and find a receipt, which we have from a prior trip to Austria. And we can recognize that by the text. We can also recognize it by the location where the photo was taken. Behind the scenes, what we're doing is automatically inferring new metadata that we tag any document library with when we see an image. Showing you these columns behind the scenes, we can see information about what objects we've recognized in it, where the photo came from, as well as any text that we saw in it that we might want to extract for further processing. We can do even more with images by teaching the cloud to use a new model in addition to the ones that we already know how to figure out. So let's take a look here inside of my OneDrive camera roll. Finding one image is one thing, but we know in most organizations there's lots and lots and lots of content growing every day. Contoso Travel recently changed our logo, and we need to make sure that our tour operators are using the most recent information. So here, I have 2 pictures that I've uploaded into my OneDrive camera roll. Here's our Contoso tour bus using one logo. And here is a crowd at a sporting event in Vienna using a different logo. So I'm going to take these 2 images and copy them over into my marketing environment where I keep track of tour guide photos. Behind the scenes, Flow is looking at the information, seeing what it can recognize, applying the model I've already built, sorting them into a library by each location. So let's take a look at what happens on the other side. So here I am in my travel innovation site, and I can see the folder for Vienna. And again, we're using the column formatter to be able to identify which one of these 2 photos has the old logo and which one has the new logo. So here we can see our bus in Vienna has the new logo, but this tour operator is using the old logo. So we want to make sure he's got the most recent information because we have a lot that we're planning for our activities before we launch this tour to Vienna. Let's take a look at those. So right now, I'm in the team site I'm using to plan potential activities for our Vienna tour we want to launch this summer. Now, SharePoint lists have long been used to keep track of critical business data, from t-shirt sizes to issue management to managing public health programs. SharePoint can do it all. We spent a lot of time over the past months making sure that SharePoint lists work great with Flow and with Power Apps. And today we're going to show you some of the things we're doing to make lists a great experience in their own part. So we know we're going to plan some activities here. It looks like we need a new list. Let's build a new list. I can come directly here and say, I want to build a brand new list. We automatically understand from some of the sites that we've built tours for before, what are some of the patterns that I might want to use. Here I can use some of these sites as templates. I can see what columns are going to come along automatically. And if I build from one of these, we can see if there's Power Apps and Flow already associated with that list and make sure I copy them over into my new list. But we're going to build a new list from scratch this morning. So when I say I want to build a new list from scratch, we can see the templates that the organization has already published to me. We have simple lists, we have staffing schedules, and we already understand what a travel project needs to look like. I know that I want to grab most of these columns, but I'm not going to need the milestone, so I can turn that off and say that I want to create the Vienna projects list and create it. Nice. Now, we also know an awful lot of business data starts life in Excel. We want to make a great experience for taking information that begins in Excel and bringing it into a SharePoint team site where we can analyze it, empower it with Power Apps and Flow, and bring my entire group together to work on the same page. So here I have an Excel file, and I'm going to grab, this looks mostly right. I'm going to grab a couple of columns here and come over to my list and say that I want to paste that data into the list. And it comes over automatically. Now, you'll notice I had an extra column in Excel. SharePoint has automatically recognized that for me, and it's taken a guess at what kind of format I want to use here. It's added it as a number, but I know that it's currency, So let's clean that up before I do anything else. We also, thanks. We also know editing data needs to be as simple an experience as possible. It's one of the reasons why people have used Excel for so many years. Instead of having to move into a different edit mode or drill into properties, I can come here and directly edit everything in place. So I'm just going to come here, change this. This isn't the Habsburg Royal Experience. This is the Hofburg Royal Experience. Good to go. All the changes made in real time, everyone's on the same page. I also know that now that my information is inside Office 365, I can do even more by integrating it with some of the other things I have out there. So let's grab this Belvedere Palace Grounds Tour activity. We need someone to work on that, so I'm going to create a task. And I can automatically integrate that into Planner. We set prices. We need to set this by the end of the month. Let's assign it to Jeff. And save it. And it's automatically going to add a new task in Planner linked back to this to make planning everyone's activities simple and get everyone on the same page. I love that. But wait, there's more. We talked earlier about what we can do with real-time updates, so let's show you how that works. Some of the new column types that we'll be adding to SharePoint lists give us the ability to bring in other services across Office 365, like location. So I can add a location column here, and then watch in real time as my team members update addresses, and the fields all get updated for me right directly on my screen, so I don't have to hit refresh. That's also pretty cool. And finally, we have a great engine in the cloud for insight and analysis called Power BI. By clicking Insights, I can automatically reason over my data to show me things that the Microsoft Cloud has learned about the data. And when the cloud gets smarter, I get smarter. So I can see here right now that one of my tours is soaking up most of the budget for all of the activities, so I might want to make an adjustment there. So in short, we really think lists are a great home for your data, being able to bring cognitive services together them along with Power Apps, Flow, and coming soon, integrating this even more closely with Microsoft Teams. Thanks a lot. Jeff?
Thank you, Chris. I love that stuff. It was like each time the demo got better and better it was just great. So to recap, we're making a big bet on SharePoint lists over the next few months, rolling out. So use those as a great way to collaborate on data. Use Power Apps and Flow to automate workflows on lists and document libraries. And as you saw, there's these magic of the combination of the data types in SharePoint, the orchestration in Flow, and the AI building blocks in Microsoft Cognitive Services that you can use to tie together to build all sorts of innovative new solutions. So really excited about rolling that out. Next up, extending SharePoint and building custom solutions around it. I think everybody here knows the magic of SharePoint. It is both an out-of-box application, but it's a powerful development platform. And the work we've done over the last couple of years has been to take that platform to the next level, modernize it from mobile and the cloud, and really embrace everything that's going on in the industry around web development technologies, open source, to make it easy for anybody to come to SharePoint and extend it and build a powerful solution. I want to recap a little bit the model there. There's basically the UX layer and the data layer of SharePoint. For user experience, we introduced the SharePoint framework, which is a way not only to build web parts, but also to extend the SharePoint UI in various ways. And then underlying that is the Microsoft Graph. It's the data API based on REST to get to not just documents and lists in SharePoint, but people and contacts and mail messages and calendars and so forth. We introduced this all a couple of years ago as our new framework, and the adoption has been amazing. In particular, SharePoint Framework's going crazy. It's the #1 usability extensibility mechanism in Office 365, doubling in its usage every 90 days. and the team is fired up to get feedback from you. We've done 7 updates since the GA of the SharePoint framework. So we got a lot of to show here. And we're going to bring up somebody who is familiar to most people in the SharePoint community, Vesa. Vesa, let's take a look at the new SharePoint framework report.
Yes. So excellent. Thank you, Jeff. And let me actually quickly rerun this one. So we get it in the status. So we get a cool demos coming up on here. So this is a communication site, a SharePoint communication site. And quite often in the SharePoint communication site, obviously there's great out-of-the-box capabilities within these sites, but there might be a functional requirement or a business requirement which you cannot achieve with out-of-the-box capabilities. So in that case, we then extend these sites. In this case, the customer has requested us to have a standardized set of links and personalized links across all of the sites within this communication site collection. So we implemented this custom footer. And in this custom footer, we're able to see then standardized links, which are company-wide links, but also my personal links, which I can actually even edit and I can modify. So in this case, for example, I have the SharePoint PMP address where you can find all the latest and greatest guidance around SharePoint development. Now, how has this been then actually developed? So we use Visual Studio Code typically in the SharePoint development. This is TypeScript, which basically means that any SharePoint or web developer can actually do customizations for SharePoint. This is also using, in this case, React, but you can actually use any JavaScript framework. So it can be Angular, Vue, or whatever as part of these customizations. This is also using Office UI Fabric React and SharePoint Framework or SharePoint PMP reusable SharePoint Framework controls, our open source tooling to increase the productivity of the developers. And Office UI Fabric is an awesome example of a tooling and a framework which will give you the consistent look and feel. So you as a developer, you can just concentrate on the business logic rather than concentrating on making your web part beautiful and fluent. So that's really cool and cool web part or cool extension in this case. But one of the things what we might want to do is to get this web part or extension available across all of the sites. And to address this capability or requirement, we're announcing availability of globally deployed SharePoint Framework extensions. So let me actually refresh the site. And this is a out-of-the-box communication site. As you can see, there's no extensions in the site. There's no customizations. I just created a communication site to start with. And I'm going to quickly run a small PowerShell. So let me actually do that and run a small PowerShell, which will basically enable my extension to be available across all of the communication sites within my tenant, including all of the new communication sites which the end users might actually create using the site provisioning capabilities. So now if I refresh the site, we're able to see the same extension available within the site, and it also has my personalized links and other things available like within the other site collection. That's actually pretty cool. So let me move back on the portal side and talk about slightly the innovation and what we're doing around the SharePoint tooling and SharePoint toolset. So we keep on evolving the SharePoint framework toolset based on the feedback what you're providing us. So please keep on being active and give us the feedback what you need to have as part of this toolset. The web parts in SharePoint are a really typical way of customizing or providing a site designers the option to design cool-looking pages and experiences. The web parts, however, quite often potentially would like to share data with other web parts and components within the pages. So today we're announcing the availability of dynamic data sources, which is actually there to share the information not only with SharePoint web parts, but including SharePoint Framework extension and contextual data within the site. So you're able to access this data and use that within your customizations. The other kind of really cool thing what we have in SharePoint Framework, which is actually already in preview, is the securely call APIs and Microsoft Graph, which is hosted in Microsoft Azure. And this is a capability which really opens up the opportunities for you to surface your business data, LOB data, from the web APIs and enterprise APIs hosted in Azure directly in SharePoint Online. And that's a really great scenario because you actually get access on the goodies of the Microsoft Azure, the machine learning, cognitive services, all of this additional intelligence, what you can now have directly in your usage within the SharePoint framework web parts as well, or in the context of the SharePoint pages. So let's quickly do a quick example on this one. So I'm going to edit the page, and I'm going to slightly scroll down, and I'm going to add this one web part available. And in this case, it's a leads web part. So this is a custom web part which we developed for this customer, which is actually showing a leads directly from the Azure Web API. So it's securely calling Azure Web API and showing the information around the leads for our sales team. The information in here is being processed by the machine learning capabilities within the Azure. So it's actually calculating the probability of the leads based on the massive amount of data behind of this API. Obviously, this is a SharePoint Framework web part, so it is natively adaptive, and you're able to move it across the page, and it actually adapts also on multiple devices like mobiles and tablets, and you're able to configure that. Yes, an additional layer, we also provide an API-level approvals for your tenant administrator. So you can actually see and control what are the APIs in the Microsoft Azure or in the Microsoft Graph, which are in the consumption of these customizations within the SharePoint pages. And that's pretty cool. Cool. Now we added that web part on the SharePoint page, but that's not necessarily always enough. So we're moving more and more to the direction that we want to surface the SharePoint pages and information on the SharePoint in other services of Office 365. So in here, I'm going to actually move to Microsoft Teams. And in the Microsoft Teams, people are communicating between each other using these channels and Teams spaces. But in here, what's super cool, the same web part, exactly the same code base, which we have, being implemented using the SharePoint framework, the SharePoint framework capabilities, SharePoint framework tooling, is now available to be exposed as a tab directly in the Microsoft Teams. I can configure that web part, do the selections in the web part and configuration like in the SharePoint page, and add that web part as a tab natively directly in the Microsoft Teams. And that's super cool, isn't it? And obviously, it has all the configuration options and everything else here as well. But that's really the key power of what we want to do in the future more and more. So we want to align our development topics. You want to use one code base, one way of implementing your customization, and you're able to then surface the same solution in multiple applications within the Office 365. Thank you.
Thanks, Vesa. Some awesome stuff, and I really wanted to stop it for a second and thank all the developers out there that have supported us over the years. Corporate developers, consultants, systems integrators, but a particular shout out to the ISVs who've bet their business on SharePoint to deliver new value to all of you. Many of them are here at the SharePoint conference this week. Intranet solutions vendors, workflow vendors, migration vendors, governance vendors, and much, much more. And we're so excited for the software development community to introduce and expand this modern tool set and platform we have with the sockets of 135 million people in Office 365 and rapidly growing. This will create a win-win-win for customers, partners, and hopefully Microsoft as well. Yeah, thank you. So to recap, use the SharePoint framework for web parts and extensions. We're making it easier to do so with reusable code, with patterns and practices. It's amazing the support we're getting there. And again, one thing we really want to emphasize, you saw it in the document library you experienced, the list experience, the pages and customization experience. Building on SharePoint is a way to project on the web as well as in Microsoft Teams. All right, last section, and perhaps for many the most important, protecting and managing information. We believe the Microsoft Cloud is the best place to protect your data, great security, governance, insights, and just like for end users and developers, we're introducing new capabilities every month to make it easier for IT to do a better job managing the information in their organization. A lot of innovation coming here as well, and so to highlight some of it, let me bring up Navjot Virk. Navjot.
Thank you, Jeff. Good morning, everyone. So the first thing I want to show you today is the new SharePoint admin experience that's available in preview mode. The thing I want to highlight today is how easy it is to manage all the sites in your organization. The list of sites now includes every site, including communication sites, team sites, and group sites. We know that was a big ask for many of you. And I can now easily find a site by just typing the name. I'm looking for a site called Solar Energy. Here it is. I can click on the site and I can manage it right from here in this experience. I can change settings if I want. But not just that, I can actually select multiple sites and I can take bulk actions like emailing the admins. If I go back to the list of sites, I can quickly sort and filter the sites to find the sites I'm interested in. So I'm looking for team sites that are using the most amount of storage in my organization. So I'm going to sort by storage and I'm going to look at only the team sites. And if I want, I can actually save this view so I can use it later. And not just that, I can actually change this to be my default view so that if I come back to this page, I can quickly pick up right where I left off. Now, these are just some of the changes. There's a lot more in the new admin experience. Please do check it out and give us feedback. So the next thing I want to talk about is compliance. So many of you in large multinational organizations, you can now store your OneDrive and SharePoint data in different geographical locations to meet your data residency needs. As you can see here, I have a central location in North America, but for my organization, we also have a few satellite locations in Europe, Japan, and Australia. It's really easy to add another satellite location. Just pick the location, give it a domain name, and that's done. Once the site is ready, you can migrate users to the satellite location, or you can assign new users to a satellite location. Once you assign a user to a satellite location, their OneDrive for Business and any team sites they create are automatically stored in that location. So let's see what that looks like from a user perspective. So here I am, signed in as Peter. Peter happens to be a user in the European location. So that means his data resides in Europe, but he can still seamlessly collaborate with everybody across the company and access his sites just like he used to before. So here I am in his SharePoint home, and you can see that he's actually looking at news from across the company. This news item is from Executive Corner that happens to be a site in North America, and this news item is from the European legal site, which is obviously in Europe. Now, Peter decides to create a site to collaborate on a new project with some of his coworkers. He gives it a name, Solar Power. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that the URL of the site. Automatically, the site is being created in the European location because that's where we want Peter's data to reside. But Peter can still collaborate with others across the company, so he decides to add me, Navjot. I'm a user in the North American location, and Adam, who happens to be a user in the Australian location. So even though the data is stored in Europe, we can all still access it across the company. So using multi-geo, you can easily meet your data residency needs, but your users can seamlessly collaborate across geographies. How cool is that? Using Office 365, you can also keep up with the latest regulatory needs, like the new GDPR regulation that is going into effect this Friday for all European users. So in Office 365 Security and Compliance Center, you will find a new GDPR dashboard that gives you lots of very good tools to help you discover, manage, protect, and monitor personal data of your users in your organization. And not just that, you can actually easily create a DSR case to quickly find and export all personal data of a user in your organization across Office 365, including SharePoint and OneDrive. This is really useful when you're trying to meet the needs starting Friday. So the next thing I want to show you, switching gears a little bit, is how we're making it really easy for you to migrate your on-premises data from using the SharePoint migration tool. The new SharePoint migration tool, that's where I am. I can easily create a new task, and I can migrate data either from an on-premises file share to a SharePoint Online site or OneDrive for Business, or from an existing on-premises site to a SharePoint Online site. That's what I'm going to do right now. All I need to do is give the URL of the on-premises site, and then I can choose to either migrate all lists and libraries or specific lists and document libraries from the site. I'm just going to migrate everything. I hit next. I need the URL for the destination site. The tool supplies me one, and if the site doesn't exist, the tool will create it. So all I have to do is hit next. This is going to create a migration task. Once the migration task is created, I can add multiple such migration tasks, and then I hit migrate. And that's it. It'll migrate all the data. Quick, simple, easy. Now, the last thing I want to show you is how Windows Defender and OneDrive protect your users against ransomware. So here I am on my Windows 10 PC looking at my locally synced OneDrive folder. As you can see, I have lots of very important files here, but I am a naive user. So I accidentally click on something I shouldn't. Windows warns me, but I ignore it. And lo and behold, what happens? Windows Defender is telling me it's detected ransomware on my machine. If you look at my OneDrive folder, all my files have been renamed to .wannacry. This is pretty terrible. What do I do now? Well, don't worry. OneDrive and Windows Defender have got me covered. So what's going to happen now is Windows Defender knows that there's ransomware on my machine, so it's actually going to first remediate the threat. It's going to find the ransomware, delete it, make sure my machine is absolutely clean. Once my machine is absolutely clean, Windows Defender knows that I'm also syncing my OneDrive on this machine, so it's going to help me recover my files using OneDrive. So it's going to pop up a notification in a few seconds, because it's still going through cleaning up the machine, to help me recover my files using OneDrive. So here it is. It says Windows Defender has removed the ransomware from your files. Click to restore from OneDrive. I click on the notification. It's going to take me directly to my OneDrive files restore page. Defender has already figured out the right timestamp to roll back my OneDrive to, because it knows when I was hit by ransomware, so it knows how far back I need to roll back. All I have to do is click restore, confirm it, and now my OneDrive is going to roll back in time. Now you as a user can go back to the OneDrive files restore page and roll back your OneDrive to any point in time in the last 30 days. But in this case, I didn't have to do the work. Windows Defender has already done the work to figure out the right timestamp to take my files back to. Now this can take a few seconds because I'm rolling back my entire OneDrive, so just bear with me. But once it's restored my OneDrive, all my files will automatically sync down to my Windows PC, and I'll be able to go back to where I was. So let's give it a second. It's usually pretty quick. You know, that it wants to take a little time. It's fine. I've been doing this a few times. Okay, so looks like my OneDrive has been restored. My files have come back. And that's it. In under 2 minutes, with just 3 clicks, I've restored all my files. So take that, ransomware. Thank you. Back to you, Jeff.
Thanks. All right, that was great. So big calls to action: migrate to Office 365, either using our tools or great tools for partners. GDPR and privacy, obviously top of mind, and then some for organizations. We've designed a solution for that. And then we've got a great set of admin tools that are continuing to roll out in this new admin experience. We've spent most of the time this morning on the cloud. Seth said 70% of our customers are there. It's grown about 10% year over year. But I want to reassure everybody that we are committed to the on-premises release. We know a lot of organizations need it. We'll make the case to go to the cloud, but it's your choice. And whether it's in a hybrid configuration or standalone, we will support you. SharePoint at this point has been pretty re-architected to take advantage of cloud services from the rest of Microsoft. And so what we did is last calendar year, we started going in and refactoring the code to bring a subset of it to the on-premises product and deliver what we think is a really great high-quality experience release. And the 3 things I'll highlight there are OneDrive files on demand with the new sync client coming to on-premises. 2 is the modern team site experience. While we don't connect Office 365 groups, because there's not Office 365 groups on premises, the new team site experience is there. The new communication sites, including SharePoint Home, News, and much more. The advanced layouts, easy page editing, SharePoint framework customization, also coming. So I think between these three things, and there's more as well, big noticeable leap in the user experience, as well a lot of work we've done to set up and simplify the server, including connecting to the cloud. So we will, as we promised Ignite, ship SharePoint Server 2019 in calendar 2018. We just did the final fork for the beta a few weeks ago. We have a lot of stabilization and testing to do before we get it out there this summer, but we are very, very excited and committed to the on-premises release. All right, with that, I will wrap. Everybody's still sitting in their chairs. Nobody's collapsed. All the demoers backstage, as soon as they get off, they're like, I think this is the most packed keynote we've ever done. And we did it because all of you have inspired us to bring our very best work to SharePoint, to Office 365 and Microsoft. So if I could close with just three thoughts. First, SharePoint delivers content collaboration for the modern workspace connected across Microsoft. You saw those deep connections, whether it's AI or Power Apps or Teams. Second, SharePoint is innovating faster than ever. Whether it's sort of the meat and potatoes feature that I think got the most applause when we were showing SharePoint lists, or leapfrog innovations in things like AI and SharePoint Spaces, we are pleased and excited to be innovating faster than we've ever done. And lastly, whether you're joining us online or here in Las Vegas, just to reiterate, SharePoint is not just a technology, but a community, the best community in tech. Thank you so much. You inspire us to do our best work. Have fun this week. Please give us lots of feedback. Enjoy the SharePoint conference.